I have an idea. Jaylen Brown's not allowed to dunk for a year. In game, we're gonna get to that dunk contest later on. But if Jaylen Brown is on a fast break and he doesn't shoot a sky hook, I'm gonna be pissed off. Do not dunk the ball. Like you're suspended from dunking for a year. But like I said, we're gonna get to that dunk contest later. But what the dunk contest did do is it made me try to come up with ideas to improve All-Star Weekend, because that event just made a great night fall flat on its face, and I hate it. So we need something else. So I'm gonna go to Lou first. Lou, do you have any ideas on how to improve All-Star Weekend?
I'm gonna stick with the dunk contest for now, because I think they did some things right this All-Star Weekend, which we'll get to, and they're not doing some things right. I think one of the things that they can stand to do better is, like we talked about, the dunk contest, man. In my opinion, I feel like it should be a G Leaguers versus NBA kind of thing. I don't think the G League needs to be separate from these NBA players. Maybe that gives the NBA players just a little bit of like, man, we can't let them school us. Like, they're not even, they haven't made it to the league. Like they're, in the developmental league, stuff like that. So, and to be honest, like, the guy who won it the past 2 years, more of a G League player than he is an NBA player. So like, let's give him a little bit of, just basically like team them up against each other, like pin it, like try to make a little bit more competitive, just because maybe that gets some stars involved and you're forced to get 4 NBA players and not, 2 guys who are in the NBA and then 2 guys who are like borderline on rotations and stuff like that. Just that's the first thing that came to my mind. I was like, this could be such a simple way to like bring a little bit of life to this event, because ultimately, people want to see the stars, but they also want to see some good dunks. I was going to say they want to see some good dunks more than they want to see the stars. They was booing the stars. So, that's kind of my, like, just bring the best dunkers that you can. Put more money in their pocket if it's needed. Like, you're an association. You got enough money to go around. I understand some of these players' contracts are inflated. Put more money towards charity then. Like, you have different ways to go about it. Let the players pick the charities of their cause. I don't know. Like, try to spark it up, maybe incentivize them, whatever it may be, but just add a little bit of juice to it, man. Because like you said, made the night fall flat on its face.
And that's a great point you make, because, and I've kind of refreshed my memory on this and tweeted about it earlier today. Last time I checked, I believe 56% of NBA players had come through the G League at some point. And these are not just a whole bunch of like bums who don't play. These players include Pascal Siakam, they include CJ McCollum, they include Chris Middleton. There's some real players who came up through there. Like, this is not back in the day where like there's this huge gap. There's just so much talent in the NBA to where guys who deserve to be in the NBA and could make contributions in the NBA, there's just no roster spots. So I feel like that's a great idea. They're already incorporating G League some more. Shout out to Alondas Williams. Not to get too deep into our Miami Heat stuff, but we saw what he looked like against Wemby and those guys. Great idea. Frankie, what's your idea for improving this weekend? Because it still needs some improvement.
I thought the Rising Stars, what they did this year was fun.
Perfect.
I missed the Shooting Stars competition. That was a lot of fun. That it was like a Hall of Fame player, a current player, and a WNBA player teaming up, and that was always competitive. The skills challenge, that usually is one of my favorite like events, because we were spoiled. We grew up and it was LeBron, D Wade, Shaq, Kobe and CP going at it, and like guys like Brandon Roy, Darren Williams, like guys really like took care of that shit and like competed for that shit. And then this year, Anthony Edwards is bullshitting, and I'm like, the fuck is this, man?
Seriously.
Like somebody on my timeline put it perfectly. Like, it was that person in your classes, like being the class clown, but nobody's laughing. Like that's what it felt like. I was like, come on, man, this isn't funny. This is a bad troll. If he was good, that would have been impressive. But he hit the side of the backboard. Like, come on,
twice.
That wasn't impressive. Scotty Barnes, enough said. That was so bad. I think it really takes a hold on the players. Like it's really the players. When I was watching the All-Star game today, I was brought back to a few years ago when Kobe passed, and they were talking about how we have to play harder for Kobe. Like we have to bring it for Kobe, and we have one of the recipes to Kobe and all those victims. And we had one of the best All-Star games in my lifetime that I've ever seen, with the Elam ending and the competitiveness. Everybody brought it that year, seriousness. And now this year turned back into the kind of the rising stars bullshit of the All-Star game, where it's just they're having fun, they're bullshitting around, which some of it is fun, some of it's funny. But like the competitiveness, I think that's on them. They have to take that shit seriously, and I don't think it's an incentive thing. I think it needs to be a pride thing. I think they need to this generation needs to like look themselves in the mirror and see how the fans talk about the sport. And it's not perfect. There's like Kevin Durant said, there's a lot of basketball fans that don't like basketball.
100%. It's trendy. It's cool now to like hate on everybody.
But you want them to you want them to put on a show, but make it competitive in ways that feels right. Like we had T-Mac throwing it off the glass in game and shit like that. Like I want to see shit like that. I want to see shit guys trying to take advantage of the creases, not put up fucking 100 threes as a team, and nobody getting back on defense. Guys doing cardio out there. That's not fun for me.
So I have a couple ideas, honestly, because I really hate the dunk contest now. And if the 13-year-old version of me ever figured I'd end up this jaded about it, he just wouldn't believe it. But a couple things. One, 3-point shootout needs to end tonight. And to do that, for it to make sense,
I'm with that.
Just kill the dunk contest. Kill it completely with fire, torture it, all that. It's done. It's dead. Even though I do like Lou's idea. They can try that out first, but I just honestly, dunks just aren't as cool as they used to be. Now, like, kids want to shoot like Steph more than they want to dunk like LeBron, and that just kind of is what it is. So 3-point contest goes at the end. How do you feel that? Because they've also ruined the skills challenge by making it this team-based thing instead of how it was when D-Wade won and then when Darren Williams was in it and all that stuff.
I was cool with the bigs and guard separation too.
Yeah,
that was competitive and still fun.
It's just with the skills challenge, they've just made it to where like you're confusing the audience, and if we're confused, we're not entertained.
Yeah,
that's the bottom line of it.
Bingo.
But so I would get rid of those two things, and the precursor to the 3-point shootout. Well, there's two precursors. King of the court. Now, look. Now the reason there's so many stars in the 3-point shootout is not because it's easy, and because Klay Thompson's in it a bunch of times. Steph Curry's in it a bunch of times. They have no fear of losing it. So I don't really give stars that excuse for the dunk contest either. I think it's just shooting is a necessary skill for a great player, and so you're not going out of your way to work on something you don't already work on. Mm-hmm. And great players in the NBA today can shoot, and they have the pride in shooting to go ahead and do it. Being the best dunker doesn't really mean anything anymore. So, king of the court. If anybody doesn't know what king of the court is sort of like, and you see players do it all the time if you watch workout videos, it's one-on-ones up to a certain amount. So it's multiple players. You got this one-on-one going on, a player on the side waiting. If you get scored on, you go to the baseline while the next person comes up. And if he's the one who scores, the other person goes off. And it's up to, it could be 10 or whatever you choose. Star players will 100% take pride in that. For sure. And you want to talk about audience engagement. We're not in the era anymore. I feel like me, Frankie, and Lou's younger than us, but I feel like we're the last generation of basketball fans who really focus on being fans of a team and have pride in a team. younger generation, they latch on to players now. And that comes from, I feel like that comes from LeBron. And that's not, I don't mean LeBron leaving Cleveland and going to Miami or going to LA from Cleveland. I think that came from LeBron just being such a huge superstar going into the league that the adjustment was made to where, like, you know what, I'm a fan of players and it is what it is. So if your favorite player is out there, and they will be, because if you're Kevin Durant or whoever and you feel like you're the best in the league, best one-on-one player in the league, you're going to want to prove that. So you will 100% get stars in that, and you will 100% get all the clips going viral of this player getting scored on or this player getting locked up, and it's going to continue on and on. It's going to be this huge deal. So I was starting that off with that. Then I would do, because, man, round of applause to Sabrina Ionescu and Steph Curry. That was incredible. So I would do that every year. I would do maybe the women's three-point champion versus the previous three-point champion. Or I would just bring women into it also in some way, because, like I said, the three-point shootout is so flooded with stars. It's just, I don't know who you would take out. So maybe three-point champion women versus previous men. And it's not just Sabrina Ionescu. You get to see more players. You get to see, like, Alexi Brown. Now, is that an excuse for me to have more Alexi Brown on my screen? Halfway. You know what? I'm going to be honest with you. But I feel like it's great for the women's game to bring them in to the three-point shootout, because now that was the best part of All-Star Weekend.
Yep.
Yeah,
I believe. And so you help promote the WNBA, which is a subsidiary. I'm not gonna try to pronounce that word again, but you know what I'm talking about. It's part of the NBA, so you promote them and you get people talking like you did this year. So I would do that, and that's the end of All-Star Weekend, and that's the end of All-Star Saturday night, because the dunk contest ruined my entire mood. And I still didn't even want to watch the All-Star game tonight because I was still annoyed by the dunk contest. But I feel like we all had great ideas. Adam Silver, you, in my mind, should be locked away for a few days. But if you're out and you hear this episode, you can go ahead and steal some of those ideas. Please do. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of Playoff File. I'm Kenny. I got Lou with me. Lou, how you doing today?
Oh, man. Horrible. It's been the All-Star Weekend. This shit stank. Now, Lou put in the chat. Took away like about 8 hours of my fucking life. Can't get them bitches back. Anyway,
I should have stuck to not watching it. Frankie, how you doing today?
Those 8 hours, Lou, were just from waiting for the game to start tonight. God damn, that was crazy. I'm all right. All-Star Weekend partly lost some of its luster because I'm older now, but it's just I just feel like the guys don't care enough, and like I don't want to be like the old guy, but I wish they cared. Back in my day, they cared.
Look, a team scored 211 points tonight. That's not even being an old guy. It's just like, who cares about this anymore?
It was just an ode to the Indiana Pacers, you know, playing that Olay defense.
Man, we can go ahead and get into it. Now, we are loading this weekend. I am going to bring up a bright spot, though. They finally figured out the Rising Stars Challenge. That was incredible. The tournament style, just and bringing those G Leagues, I'm telling you, man, like, and I watch G League when I get a chance to. I don't have a lot of personal time. Keep incorporating these guys. Like I said earlier, there's a lot of guys in the G League who have NBA talent, and they just haven't had the chance to prove it on the NBA level yet. But we saw they did take out Wemby, and they almost won the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And so, man, like, again, shout out to Alondas Williams, shout out to Mac McClung. That was incredible. And I hated the All-Star Weekend with a passion before this year. Well, not the weekend, that game itself. I wasn't going to watch it. And it started off bad. Huge credit to why do I always mess his name up? Huge credit to Bennedict Mathurin and Jaden Ivey. They got to go on with each other, and then the intensity picked up, and it became the best All-Star event between two teams, because that Sabrina and Steph thing was incredible.
Yep.
That I've seen in years. So what were y'all thoughts on that?
I personally loved it. At first, I was, kind of it. I feel like the target score thing, the year that it was, after Kobe's passing,
Elam
yeah, that is, they need to do that all the time. I'd rather them know, like, we got to get to this amount. It just feels a little bit more competitive. But the G League players, talk about bringing it. They brought it, man. But that's not just one of the reasons I like it, because at the end of the day, you just want to see the best basketball players in the world try. Like, as a purist of basketball, you just want to see them head to head and, like, just compete at least 80%. Like, you don't got to give me 100, but give me 80, not the other 20% that you're giving. But for me, as a draft person, we got to see a projected top 5 pick. We got to see Matas Buzelis hooping. Like, we get to see some of these guys coming out in the G League. We talked about Alonde Williams. He had dropped several 50-point games this year. Imani Bates, somebody who was picked high in the draft. Like, Mac McClung being the star of All-Star Weekend. Say what you want to say. But, like, we get to see guys who are just a little hungry. They got a little bit of that. Yeah, we can compete with these guys. Like, I'm not going to let ourselves get bullied around. And just that in general, bringing a little bit of spark. Great. I thought it was fantastic. I like the tournament style. I wish the last game would be up to 40 as well. That'd be my only complaint, just because I want a little bit more ball. But all in all, definitely a step up from I feel like the last very good rising star game was when Tim Hardaway Jr. and Dion Waiters went head to head.
Yeah.
And again, much credit to Kenny talking about what he talked about before, like the king of the court stuff. Like, when players get to go head to head, that's the most exciting. Like, generally, like, so one of the reasons this was so exciting is because we got to see, like you said, Bennedict, Mathurin, Jaden, Ivey going at it. And then we also got to see, basically, it felt like the whole G League team going after the whole Wemby team. And like, it was like they were generally trying, a little bit more on defense. Obviously not 100%, but driving to the rim, turning corners. Mac McClung was turning the corner like he had his hair on fire. That first game, it was exciting.
Man, look, I watched in an all-star event, Brandon Przemski dove for a loose ball. And I'm not asking everybody to do that, because Brandon Przemski is just that kind of player. I don't feel like he can turn that switch off if he wanted to. But to see some kind of effort on All-Star Weekend in general, I couldn't be happier with it. And if you notice, both of the G League team's opponents came out thinking they was going bullshit. The G League players was like, nah, hold up. We not doing that. And they had to really buckle down and compete. They could have very easily lost that second game. They started letting the G Leaguers come back. So, hey, man, I don't know if you got to keep bringing G Leaguers in or what it is you got to do. We're going to get to the dunk con. I mean, the three. Wow. We're going to get into the All-Star game at some point, because I went to sleep at one point, and be honest with you. So that says how entertaining that was. But I wish and I hope that the Rising Stars Challenge would have set the tone for the rest of the weekend, but it just didn't, unfortunately. But Frankie.
I was gonna say maybe that's something the regular All-Star game could take a book out of. I've been a proponent of them expanding the All-Star rosters because it's still at 12 for each league, and that was set back in the 80s before the expansion. So like, I think it's more than about time for it to be 15-15, and you break that up into a couple teams, tournament style. You bring back the voting. I mean, not the voting, but captains picking teams and stuff. That brings some elements there. Bring some, a lot of NBA fans just love the transaction talk. So, you see Giannis play with this guy and LeBron pick this guy, and we'll see what happens there. Will be a lot of fun and make it competitive, like win or go home, like kind of style. And that I'd be all for that. Something like that would be a ton of fun. But yeah, it's just disappointing that this era has been going downhill with it, because I like the few years after the 2020 All-Star game, the couple years after that, with the Elam ending, with the playing for charities and stuff, those All-Star games were freaking great. They were super competitive. You had in 2020, you had Kyle Lowry diving for loose balls, taking charges, annoying the hell out of people. But it was competitive. It was like real hoops. Like they were going at it. I love the Elam ending. I think that's something they absolutely need. This game dragged so goddamn much. And the target score made it a lot more fun. So I just think that, and it guarantees you a shot to win the game. And that's what makes it a lot of fun. Like the first time there was an Elam ending and you're throwing double teams, triple teams at everybody, trying to get the ball away from them, trying to force the stops. Like you force the defense on that because you know what the target score is. So I think they need to. There's elements they can take from the last 5 years and can from all the competition. It can really make it a lot of fun.
Honestly, I'd say just that Rising Stars format. That was so good. Just use it for the All-Star game. Like, we don't need to watch. Well, we're going to get to the All-Star. I don't want to say too much about the All-Star game because that's a later topic. But I just feel like the Rising Stars Challenge should have set the example of what we can do from now on with the All-Star game. Because those guys really competed out there. And actually, I'm glad Lou also mentioned Jaden, Ivey, and Bennedict Mathurin because that's what gave me the idea of just King of the Court. Just add that also to Saturday night because they were really getting after it. Like all it takes is for one person to can you imagine Devin Booker and Luka Doncic with all the barking and stuff they've done over the years
going head to head. And Kenny, to your point about the King of the Court, that's one of the things everybody wants to see a 1v1 tournament. King of the Court is basically a juice version of that. It's 1v1, v1, 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 etc. Yeah. How many people are there? I think if they do that, they make it some kind of up to 21 or whatever it may be, up to 25, but just
winner gets $25,000.
Yeah, winner gets a certain amount of money. Even if it doesn't even have to be. The talent is so good that no disrespect to Bennedict Mathurin, I fucking think he's incredible. But guys like that, it's going to be exciting. You know what I'm saying? There's been podcasts and rumors about Spencer Dinwiddie beating Kevin Durant in a 1v1. Everybody is good enough in the league to win a 1v1.
And I'm sorry to cut you off. And the stuff about Michael Beasley never losing a one-on-one to LeBron.
Please, that's what I'm the talent is so crazy. We just need to see these guys 1v1. But a point to it that I want to make, and I think it would make it just that much better, is instead of just scoring to get the player off the court, you got to score and get a stop defense.
Oh, yeah. Perfect.
Talk about competitiveness. Yeah. Boom. It's literally fixed. Adam Silver, shake Kenny, myself, and Frankie's hand. Give us a shout out and a follow. And we got you, man.
And I would add one thing to it in honor of Team USA competition. Every time you see it after practices, 3 dribbles max.
Yeah.
3 dribbles max. Yeah. Show these kids that, Lou's coach, I've coached. You see these kids in the park and AU and coming up, they want to dribble so goddamn much. Show them how the best in the world can do it with only 3 dribbles max, and the incredible shot making they can do, all the stuff you could do on the basketball court without dribbling. I mean, besides, we'll get to the All-Star game, but the one of my favorite moments of tonight was the Luka Jokic fast break without dribbling the ball.
Oh yeah,
that was awesome. That was a lot of fun.
And so bringing that all the way back to the Rising Stars Challenge, I'm sorry. I said earlier we wasn't going to do this, but we do have to talk about it as well. We have to. It's because of the sheer audacity to go after Wemby was an example of why that game was invented in the first place. You have Wemby, this superstar, he an incredible player. I'm not going to take anything away from him. And then you have Lawrence Williams, who just came up from the G League. But you put these draft classes. Well, I don't even know when Lawrence Williams got drafted, but he didn't. You put these guys, these young players together, and you want to really see the best of the best as far as the young players really go at each other. And Alonzo Williams, he went right into Wemby's chest and got an and one. He shot the rainbow 3 over him. That kind of excitement is what this event was missing really since Wade, LeBron, and Carmelo. And I think even if I'm not mistaken, they also got blown out that game. I don't remember, to be honest with you. I watched it live and I never looked back. But
since the Hardaway Jr. and Dion game, like
yeah,
it was a quarter. It was about a quarter of excitement, but
yeah,
they didn't miss. So,
and so those types of moments, man, that's what that event was made for. And so I just really appreciated seeing that. And so once again, that format, they better not go away from it like they ruined the skills challenge by messing up the format. Just keep that exactly the way it is, because next year when Wemby's a sophomore and Jaime's a sophomore and Chet is still technically a sophomore, I want to see them go against these guys coming in, because these guys coming in, they're hearing all year about how weak their draft class is. They're going to feel like they got something to prove also. And so, man, man, that event for me personally was a 10 out of 10. I'll ask y'all real quick what y'all would rate it, but for me, it was perfect.
I would say about a 9 out of 10, just because I loved it. I do think, it's still the All-Star weekend, so the intensity wasn't there throughout every game, but 9 out of 10 in terms of what it like, I don't, it's still elite, guys. Like 9 out of 10 is still elite. So
yeah, I'll go 9 out of 10 too. I think for the first year of it being like that, I thought it was good. And I was a big I like Wemby, and I love how mad he got about losing that. That shows me that there's hope in this this newest generation of young players, and I hope more players take that competitiveness into this weekend and show how much that this should matter to you.
The 3-point contest, what should be the headliner. Fun once again. And it's not, like I said before, it's not just because the stars compete, it's because all the stars can shoot and have pride in shooting, so they join it. So you start off, first of all, with a 4-way tie at 26, which 10 years ago, well, not 10 years, because Steph was already Steph and Clay was already Clay, but let's say 15 years ago, if you would have said 4 players would have 26 points in the 3-point shootout, like, this event is just so fucking good every year. Like, it's just, and it's been the exact same event. Well, they added they let players choose their money ball now, and they added the 4-point shot. But for the most part, it's kind of been the same event since the 80s, aside from those two things. But it's just the matter of the skill has caught up with the event to the point where now it's just so much fun. And so I'm gonna go to y'all first. And shout out to Dame Lillard once again, because watching really this whole weekend, you would never guess how much he's struggling this season.
Insane.
So credit to him for winning once again, back-to-back 3-point champion. But I'm gonna go to y'all first on what y'all thought of this. I'm like, I know what y'all thought of it because I know what everybody thought of it. It's just the best event of the weekend for years now. But I'm gonna still go to y'all because I still value what y'all have to say.
Yeah, it's consistently just one of the funner events because, like you said, guys care about it. Guys compete. Guys try to win that. And, you saw the first round 26 4-way tie. That's crazy. And it just brings the intensity. And you got guys like of all different sizes competing. Like, ever since Dirk, you competed back in the day, you started seeing the big men and, guys like KD, who in other eras would be banging down low, wouldn't be allowed to be playing on the perimeter. But KD, gets to show his skills. Cat, credible performance. And no, it's just a lot of fun, man. It's just a lot of fun. It's a simple to understand for the fans. It's not overly complicated for the rules and everything. With everything, it's just, let's get to it. Let's see who can shoot and who's gonna perform the best tonight.
Yeah, I thought it was great. Like Kenny said, I think that was the best. It's the best event just because, like, even like players don't have to like think too hard about what they're gonna do. They just got to go out there and shoot, like something that they do hundreds, even thousands of times some days. Like, they just got to go out there and see who the best shooter is. But it provides a different kind of like just tenacity sometimes. Like, or not. I don't want to say tenacity, but just like they kind of like get into it. And the last shots, like the fans be like, oh my goodness, like specifically when Damian Lillard was getting down to the wire, one on the final shot, like things like that, just that kind of level of like ooh and ah is missing from the rest of the weekend. And the 3-point contest feels like it delivers on that time and time and time again. My only critique is 4 guys got 26. We should have not had a tiebreaker, man. Let them all go. Like instead of it going from 8 to 3 to 1, make it 8 to 4 to 2 to 1. Like at that point, just like we want to see these guys shoot more. Like please, like just provide that to us. I think it'd be cool if at some point they do like the 2v2 stuff, or like they partner up people on the same team. Just they have like this event is so damn good that I wouldn't mind seeing it like solo and teamed up. That's my point. So, but particularly this one, like even the guys who didn't make it through still shot good. Like the skill is through the roof. And like Frankie said, we have 7-footers out here. Just like Laurie was, he would have gone through just about any other year, and he was eliminated. Just incredible performance from honestly just about everybody. There wasn't a single dud this year, it felt like, and we've had some of those. Oh yeah, but not this year.
So I came up with an idea while you were talking just now, because Gilbert Arenas recently had a thing on his show. He had some sort of shooting competition, and I promise, audience, I'm not bringing up Lexi Brown on purpose again, but he had a shooting thing, right? And like in preparation of it, he posted a video of himself shooting and like doing jumping jacks in the meantime. And Gilbert Arenas, who's been out of the league for I'm sure over a decade now, he went like 15 for 16 in that video effortlessly. So I feel like another good idea would be, let's say between semifinal and final, you bring in one round of like retired players and have them shoot real quick and see who wins that. Because I would love it.
I love it.
I would love it.
Bring back Peja.
Yeah.
Peja. I need to see Peja shooting nowadays, man.
Gilbert Arenas, we know, still got it.
Mike.
And he never won one in his career either. I don't know how much Dirk still shoots, but there are NBA players who still shoot often. They still work out. They still play sometimes. I'd say bring them in for that. You know what I mean? Like one round real quick, see what they can do.
Bring back the people who talk shit to each other. Bring back rivalries. Like, I want to see Paul Pierce and Dwayne Wade shoot threes. And I know Dwayne was never a shooter. But, like, I just want to, like, that level of, like, just, like, friendly banter. But, like, there's still some edge to it. It'll just make it cool, man.
And look, with us being the show that pays homage to older players also, I feel part of the reason I created this show is I feel like there's such a disconnect between what the younger audience thinks these players were and what they actually were. And so, like, for example, Ray Allen ain't been out of the league that long, and he's coaching down in Miami, so he's in a gym all the time, I'm sure. Anybody who's ever hooped know if you see a hoop, you have to shoot. So I'm sure he's still at it. Bring him out for one of these, let him really show stuff, and let him – I don't think he ever went against Steph Curry in a three-point shootout.
Probably not.
Career. I don't remember. But let them do that. Best shooter of all time versus second best shooter of all time. Let's see how it goes.
Throw Reggie in there.
He's 58. I'm sure he can probably still shoot it sometimes because people don't have no idea how great Reggie Miller was. Like those Pacers teams, like I understand Jordan had those 2 3-peats, but those Pacers teams gave him like the most trouble out of any team. Huge part of that was Reggie Miller not being able to miss if he wanted to. Let these guys come back and mix it. Look, anything but the dunk contest. Anything but the dunk contest. Extend that night. Leave the dunk contest out of it. And we're going to get into that right now. Jaylen Brown. I said in the beginning of the show, I'll say it again. I never want to see him dunk a basketball again. Now, and it's great because just last week, we had so much praise for Jaylen Brown for just because remember, he played in the Big 3 game. He entered the dunk contest being a star. I've never done a quicker 180 on somebody in my life. We recorded that show. Then he tries to rip Duncan Robinson's arm off, which guys get tangled up. Hard fouls happen. Dirty plays happen. I didn't care that much about that. But then he goes to the press conference and he's like, oh, Brady won't do it again, which trash talk is fine. Okay. But then the video comes out of Duncan Robinson. I'm going to say that name one more time. Of Duncan Robinson saying to his face, you not like that. And him shutting up. So I'm like, all right, that's kind of crazy. Because if you're going to let Duncan Robinson talk to you like that, you can't go to the press conference and talk tough. You guys just let it go and be like, oh, guys get tangled up and play hard all the time. But like, be the professional. Don't act tough. And I'm not sitting here saying I'm out here fighting people. I haven't gotten in fights since 5th grade. People don't care enough to fight me. I'm like cool with everybody. But don't be that guy. Mm-hmm. And then he goes into the dunk contest. And we're going to get into the whole contest in a second. But I watched Kai Cenat walk onto a basketball court. And I'm like, okay, Kai Cenat's very short. If he's about to jump over him, that's not very impressive. Hopefully he does something incredible. They brought a fucking chair out for Kai Cenat to sit down. And at this point, my blood is boiling. Because it's like, there's no way Kai Cenat is sitting down in a chair to be jumped over in the dunk contest. Then Jason Tatum comes out to throw a lob. I've always had an issue with scorers. And Jason Tatum's a good playmaker. He's a good passer. But I've always had an issue with the best scorer on your team throwing you a lob in a dunk contest. Because as good as of a passer Jason Tatum is, you have better options on that team to pass you this lob. This fool dunked the ball, covered his eyes afterwards. And then D Brown put an Instagram. I don't know if you Lexi Brown. That's 3 times. It's not on purpose. I swear. Lexi Brown posted a D Brown Instagram post of him saying basically that covering your eyes dunk is not as easy as you think. Hashtag sorry not sorry because he's old and hashtag sorry not sorry. I guess it's cool for older people. But if you pay homage to somebody and them and their daughter are like, all right, nah, fuck out of here with this. I don't care about your intentions of being a star in a contest of whatever it is. You did a bad job. That frustrated me enough. Then you look at the way he was scored in this contest. This man brought out a random person. We have no idea who this is. He doesn't play in the league. He's not a celebrity. It's just a dude in a Dominique Wilkins jersey to hype him up. Dominique Wilkins being a judge in the contest. I'm like, first of all, you kissing a judge's ass? Like, really? And he does. Now, and we've said on the show before, Vince Carter has the best windmill we've seen in our lives. If you were to say Dominique Wilkins had the best one, I won't have much of an argument for you either. For me, I say it's probably 1A, 1B. So if you're going to pay homage to Dominique, you can't do a weak windmill. This man had the random person in a Dominique jersey to kiss up to Dominique, does a terrible windmill, and gets a higher score than Mac McClung, who had just done something we've never seen before. A higher score than Jaime Jaquez Jr., who did a better windmill over Shaq. Mm-hmm. It's like, Adam Silver, I see what you're trying to do here. He's an all-star. He's a Celtic. But don't disrespect the audience. Like, okay, people ask for all-stars to do this. Cool. But, like, you're going to ruin the night with this. Like, this is, like, market the product. I get it. But you have a lot of casual fans watching. You want to market a good product. The Celtics are the storied franchise. I understand. And I don't say this just as a Heat fan. Most of the championships, really, all of the championships aside from, no, I'm not going to say that because they won a bunch in the 80s. But most of the championships came before a three-point line was here. So, like, I understand, but they're not the name they used to be. Best team in the NBA right now. That's great. But let the fans who were entertained by All-Star Weekend figure that out when they stick around. You don't have to you don't have what he did to Jacob Toppin last night. We're recording this on Sunday. Was just disrespectful. Not only Jacob Toppin, but it was disrespectful to the NBA. It was disrespectful to the NBA fans because we know better. We saw these dunks. We know Jaylen Brown should have been out in the first round. He should have had the lowest score without question. Not like, and you just and he. I don't want to say anything about the Terrence Clark dunk because rest in peace, Terrence Clark. The dunk itself wasn't anything special, but if you want to give him sympathy scores for that, I understand because I'm not going to play around with death like that. But this fool put on a Michael Jackson glove
on his left hand.
On his left hand because social media makes jokes about him not being able to. And it's like, I shouldn't have to cringe off a dunk contest. That shouldn't be the reaction we get. Last episode, we talked about our favorite dunk contest moments. We mentioned Vince Carter. We mentioned Jason Richardson. We mentioned before there were gimmicks. I don't mind the gimmicks because if you're going to entertain people, hey, go ahead and do it. But the dunks have to also be good. If you're going to make Kai Cenat stream your dunk as the gimmick, let that 5'3" man at least stand on something, not sit in a fucking chair.
I thought he was going to stand on the chair. He sat down, and Kenny's gone on a 6 minutes.
Y'all go ahead and talk about it because
Kenny, you forgot to mention that the first attempt didn't work. He brought out Jason Tatum, and Tatum missed through the lob. It was fucking hilarious. Oh man,
I love the edit where they threw Jazzy Jeff's screaming when he gets thrown out the house. That shit was terrible. That shit was a joke. How did he get a higher score jumping over a sitting down 5'3" man than Jaime jumping over
Shaquille O'Neal?
And Jaime shouldn't have even been in the finals. It should have been Toppin. But it was honestly embarrassing. Like, I've never seen a player get booed at a dunk contest when he made the dunk, but he did. Like, I've never seen
he got booed tonight too when they introduced him.
Yeah,
hilarious. It's just so because typically they'll boo somebody, or at least back in the day when it wasn't like timed and it was you had 2 or 3 attempts. Yeah, you would get that was the worst ever, man. But they would boo you because you just wouldn't be able to get the dunk off. It was like, okay, he got the dunk off. Let's see something. Yeah. Just straight boos. Also, what the fuck is up with this new scoring system?
It's so
to 50? What are we doing here?
It's dumb.
1 to 10. No, everybody got scored 47 or higher. None of those dunks were 10s. That insinuates that some of those dunks were 10s. Bullshit. Not a single one of those. Like, I'm talking about just in general. Like, most of those dunks weren't 10s. Like, let's keep it honest. There was very few 10s there. Mm-hmm. Bring it 1 through 10, and just fucking give them tally up the fucking score. I feel like the judges were tripping just off of that alone.
Yeah,
it fucking sucked. The whole thing. Hey, like Kenny said, I wouldn't be mad if they just tossed that bitch to the side.
Yeah, it's over with, man. But Frankie, whatever you got, go ahead.
It's just not entertaining anymore, man. It hasn't been good for almost a decade. It feels like an overall great competition. We had a great run in the mid 2010s with the Zach LaVine, Aaron Gordons of the world and stuff like that. Derrick Jones, a couple in 2020 was great. We've had great ones recently, but the last few years have just been so goddamn boring and so uninteresting, so gimmicky.
One-sided.
One-sided. Like, there's a clear favorite, and then everybody else is just there for the vibes. So I don't know what happened to the game I love. I blame Adam Silver.
You know what though? Because I actually thought that's a great point, Frankie. I thought about this earlier because I had points I wanted to make. But I hadn't verbally talked about how pissed off I was about the dunk contest until just now, so I ended up on that tangent. But I actually did think about this. The dunk contest hasn't been consistently good in just about a decade now because 2000 was the Vince Carter year. That was amazing. 01 was bad. 02 was great. 03 was one of the best ever. 04 was pretty good. That's when Fred Jones won. That was pretty good. 05 was when Josh Smith won it, but that was the Steve Nash, Amar Stoudemire, like off the backboard, off Nash's head. Like that was a great dunk contest. 06 was great, even though Andre Iguodala got hold, and we don't got to get into that. That was a great contest. 07 was the Gerald Green contest. 08 was the Dwight Howard contest. Like it was just banger after banger after banger in that decade. And then
Nate
after
Robinson
08,
it brought it a bunch of years there too.
Yeah. After 08, 09 was in. Then 2010, I don't even remember. It got bad. Then 2016 was obviously Aaron Gordon, Zach LaVine. Then 4 years later, we got Derrick Jones Jr. versus Aaron Gordon. And then that's just been it.
Yeah, McClung was sensational last year. And this year,
this year he was pretty good too, but Jaylen Brown ruined it.
It ruined the entire experience. The dunk with the reverse that he just like popped the ball up into the air and reverse dunked it. That got like a low score, and I was generally like, what? I was like, if there's a 50, like if that I don't know if it should have been a 50, but like that probably should have been. Yeah, like I was like, if they give that a 50, I won't like hate him for it. Like, yeah, for sure that's a 50. His last dunk was great too. Like it. I had a friend who was basically telling me like, oh, who should I bet on? And I was like, look, man, like stop with the liking a player and just because you like this is a dunk contest. Do you want to invest your money? Just bet on Mac McClung. Like I don't care what it was. Like it was guaranteed money every time, especially with the timer, and it's not like a dunk thing. That just gives the dunker more time to make the dunk happen.
Yeah,
but.
No, and they took so goddamn long to get into their dunks too.
Oh my god!
I'm like, this shit starts at 2 minutes, and then they're not even trying their dunk until like a minute left. I'm like, come on, you guys are taking forever. Like it's fucking bleeding time, and it doesn't. There's no rush. There's no fucking enthusiasm for this. There's like no showmanship.
Yeah.
Like where was this back in the day? Do you remember? Like we shout out to Iman. For this tweet, but she said we went from dunking over Kias to dunking over Kais. Like, what's going on here? Where's the showmanship? I miss this. I miss the Dwight Howard jumping in the phone booth, coming out dressed like Superman, dunking on a cape. Like that's when basketball was real.
Just dunking over the shortest AMP member. It's like. I think Duke Dennis is like 6'1". Like jumping over him wouldn't have been that impressive. You jump over Cousin. You know what?
Bring Tatum out, dunk over Tatum.
Jump, man. If he could really dunk, I'm not even gonna say bring out Kristaps because somebody who can actually dunk the basketball should do that.
Yeah.
But like, you disrespected us with the Cousin that shit, and the judges, man.
The judges disrespected us even more by making him go again.
This might have been the worst judges of all time.
Oh, for sure. This was the worst judge.
Part of it was the scoring, like you mentioned, but just what were they doing? What were they thinking?
I remember a time where the dunk contest was judged by dunkers.
Yeah.
Who understand the difficulty of what's going on. I love Gary Payton. I watch a lot of old games. He's one of my favorite players.
Should not be
champion,
a dunk contest judge.
Champion with our Miami Heat. He stopped dunking after like his second year in the league. So like he's judging it, and he's from Oakland. So I try to say, have him judging next year in San Francisco. That's right there. Like they had Dominique Wilkins judging, but he's historically a bad dunk contest judge for whatever reason. And it's just I really felt like they just rigged it and they wanted Jason Tatum to win it, not Jason T. You know what? I'm gonna call him Jason Tatum because after that bullshit, I'm not calling him his real name. But I remember a time where dunks brought us joy. So I wanted to come up with the topic of who are our favorite in-game dunkers of all time. I'm gonna let Lou go first on this one.
Yeah, so we talked about him actually briefly in past dunk contests. Well, I don't think we mentioned his name, but we definitely mentioned one of his props, the Kia. It's Blake Griffin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Blake Griffin gave us the single best year of poster dunks I think NBA history has ever seen and will ever see. because the shooting wasn't as great back then. But it was just the combination of his in-game dunks with the players that were able to throw him the lobs just made it just fucking French. Yeah. What is it? Chef's kiss, French kiss. French chef kiss, I guess. French. Yeah, it just made it. Nah, but yeah, Blake Griffin. You know, all the lobs. Obviously, CP was throwing, but it wasn't just CP. It was Jamal Crawford throwing him lobs. It was even DeAndre throwing him some lobs. Like, it was just the combination of him going out there, him getting it on his own. That specific year, I'm pretty sure he put Kevin Love on several posters. Or was it? No, it was Pau Gasol. Sorry, it was Pau Gasol.
That was one game.
Yeah, he had
back-to-back plays.
He had it out for Pau Gasol. The putback dunks that he made that year were just literally insane. He tried to dunk everything. This was pre-mid-range game Blake Griffin. This was all in the paint, and he was just getting whatever he wanted. By far, I think the most entertaining dunker I have seen in game, just because of how frequent they were.
This is what people forget about Blake Griffin too. That year you're talking about of those posters, that coming out party, that was after him missing his rookie season with a knee injury.
Crazy, literally the most insane thing. Like, and he was drafted because of his athleticism. Hurts one of the most important parts of your fucking functional athleticism game, and then just it literally the next year it's. Oh, we forgot he was hurt. Like, that was the level of athlete he was.
But I remember because that was when I was really, because he came out the same year as Steph, and I was watching a lot of college basketball that year. So I couldn't wait for him to get out there. And I had to wait an extra year. It was frustrating. He gets out there his first game. I'm like 99% sure it was against the Blazers because I made sure to catch that game. And he was immediately dunking on everybody. And it was just like, because the thing I was most excited about is he was doing this stuff in college, and college is a very like restricted game. Stuff really opens up in the NBA because of the spacing and like there's a lot more space in the NBA. So he went out there and immediately you talked about the Pau Gasol dunks. What about what he did to Timothy Moscow?
All right.
What he did to, I want to say it was Kendrick Perkins. Like he dunked on so many people, man. Like people forget about that, Blake.
Dunking without touching the rim.
Just throwing it in from above.
Yeah, he would jump from so far and throw the ball in with so much. He was an angry dunker, but he also had finesse. Like, just one of the greatest in-game dunkers, at least in my opinion, probably my favorite. I mean, obviously it's my favorite, but definitely my favorite guy that I've seen. And that comes from somebody who was, not the biggest fan of the players that were giving him the ball.
Man,
just like personal hate, but still respected him.
Yeah, man.
What do you have against Jamal Crawford?
It wasn't Jamal, man. It was Chris Paul.
I know.
It's Chris Paul.
But man, yeah, I can't believe I forgot about Blake. But a lot of people forget about Blake, and like, because it was kind of a short run because he became more skilled and started doing more stuff. But man, when he was just going out there, just terrorizing people, you did not want to miss a Clipper game.
No,
because he was going to do something to humiliate somebody. But Frankie, who you got?
I mean, there's a lot of great ones. Like Blake's teammate DeAndre Jordan had a ton of great ones when he killed Brandon Knight. I just want to bring up some guys that I'm pretty sure you're not going to mention, but like Desmond Mason is like one of my all-time favorites, underrated guy. These are guys like when you're that age watching basketball and you're like, I'm playing 2K, I'm starting a team, I'm trading for this guy. I need this guy on my team. I need to throw some lobs up. Desmond Mason was all-time great. Iggy's was a phenomenal dunker.
Sixer days, hell yeah.
Sixer days, oh man, so much fun. But I'm gonna go with Gerald Green, one of the all-time greatest dunkers, dunk contest, in-game dunker, just sheer athleticism, 6'8", like only like 200 pounds, but had the bunnies. Just all-time athleticism. I remember the one in against New Jersey where they threw him off glass, and he was.
I think it was with the Nets.
Was it with the Nets?
With the windmill?
No, I'm talking about the one. I think it was with Boston still. That Tony Allen threw it off the glass. Yeah. I'm like, bah. Oh, so much fun. Such a explosive athlete. Phenomenal dunker, just with creativeness, the long arms, if you go into the dunk contest, the birthday candle dunk, some of the greatest dunks ever. He's just an all-timer, and I love watching him play.
The thing that sucked about his career is his NBA game didn't really catch up until his dunking started to kind of decline. He had a couple years where he was starting to be a consistent NBA player with the dunks. But maybe I'm a little biased because he came to Miami and just stopped dunking. And he was like trying to be Tracy McGrady or some shit, and it just didn't work. But
Mario Chalmers saved his life.
It's just like another thing where he actually was on no. I remember now. He was on the Celtics team the year before they got KG.
Yeah, he was part of that trade.
Guys. He was part of that trade, and that's why his game just ended up not really. He went to Minnesota where they were real bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was teammates with Sebastian Telfair, who I also had a huge bias for because Through the Fire is my favorite basketball documentary of all time. So I would try to watch that team, and it just wasn't working, man. But Gerald Green for sure, man, because he was one of those guys. He used to do this thing where he wouldn't even have the ball. It would just be like practices where he just like jump and like put his shoulder at the rim just to show he could do it.
Yep.
And that's just insane to me. And he was still doing it like after his NBA career, he was still doing it in the G League. It was just in the G League people didn't see it. But man,
one of the all-time greatest foam fingers of all time was Gerald Green's when I think he was with Phoenix. So if you don't know Gerald Green, he started dunking like in the 8th grade, and he went to dunk on a double rim while wearing a ring. Mm-hmm. And when he came off the rim after the dunk, half of his ring finger was missing. Because they got cut off from the ring, getting caught onto the double rim.
Yeah.
So he had like the stub there, and they had the foam finger like this, like this. It looked so funny. But shout out to Gerald Green. And he wasn't. He was one of those. I mean, Blake was mostly like this too, but he was more of like lobs and tip dunks, kind of in-game dunker. I think the guy you're going to go for had those as well as on the ball, off the dribble dunks. And those are, I give those guys credits because those are incredibly tough to do in-game like that in traffic in the half court.
And so my pick, first of all, let me say, originally I was going to go with Vince Carter. But I feel like it's kind of obvious. Like, he's the greatest in-game dunker of all time pretty easily. Well, him and Dominique, greatest in-game. Yeah, him and Dominique, best in-game dunkers of all time. I feel like it was a little too obvious to go with Vince. So I'm going to go with my second favorite, to be honest with you. And this is somebody who, because of how great of a player he is and the fact he's, like, older now, people forget how great of a dunker he was when he was younger. And it's LeBron James. LeBron James, in his first stint in Cleveland, was, and in Miami too, but he bulked up in Miami, and his vertical kind of went down a little bit. LeBron James, in his first stint in Cleveland, was a ridiculous athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like he had the passing, he had the IQ, all that was there, so he doesn't get talked about as a dunker. But anytime you have somebody off one leg, taking off from behind the dotted line, looking into the rim by mistake. Like that's just insane to me. He had like that one dunk in Dallas where he went baseline. The defender came, may have been Brendan Haywood or somebody. Defender came. It was supposed to be a regular two-hand. He put it all the way on his hip and brought it back and dunked it. That's insane to me. He took off from the foul line against Milwaukee just because. He had that one dunk.
That was insane.
He had that one dunk in Chicago. Not in Chicago. It was in Cleveland, but against Chicago, where he came off the pick and roll, took off from behind the dotted line, and just floated for like 3 seconds and dunked it. Then there's obviously the dunk on Kevin Garnett. There's the dunk on Rasheed Wallace. And I remember that being a Nike ad where he's dunking it and like his arm is like straight out, like he's pointing at somebody. But he's dunking his ball. And it's like the just routine, like reverse windmills, just like people forget how great of a dunker LeBron was. and how easy it was for him. Like I said, he bulked up in Miami, so it went down a little bit, and then he started to get a little older. And even he'll still give you a windmill or a double clutch reverse A once in a while. He can still do it. But there was a point in time where he'd do these dunks and have to duck from not hitting his head to not hit his head on the rim. And so my favorite in-game dunker was LeBron James, man. Well,
you didn't even mention the Jason Terry one.
Oh man,
or the John Lucas where he literally jumped over. Talk about 5'3". I'm kidding. No. You know what's so crazy, specifically about LeBron, the year he had the most dunks was his 2016-2017 year in Cleveland. He had 145 dunks, which is crazy considering he was 32 at the time.
That was like his 15th year in the league.
Yeah, that was his 14th year in the league. 13th year in the league, sorry. But that 145 dunks is ridiculous considering that was also one of the few years he missed like several games.
Yeah.
So just it's insane the level of athleticism some of these players have, man, because dunking a ball 100 times in an NBA game, like getting one dunk a game is not easy. These guys are doing it like 140. And Gerald Green, who wasn't dunking as much as these guys, but every time he would dunk, it was like, God. He also didn't play as much, obviously, but like it was just literally jaw dropping. And I just wanted to bring up the Blake Griffin just to like put into. He dunked the ball 214 times his rookie year. Do you guys know how crazy this is?
That's nuts.
He dunked the ball more than some people scored. Like generally, like rotation players, field goals made during that one season. Like that's fucking ridiculous.
But to say about his dunking ability, also, everybody on the floor knew that was what he was trying to do.
Yeah,
right.
And it's just like the people who tried to stop him, you saw what happened to him.
Literally, just damn near 20% of his field goal attempts were just dunks like, as a rookie. And then the next year, he dunked more. He just, he didn't play as many games because it was a lockout year. He dunked 192 times the next year in 66 games. Like, do you guys like this man was literally like he was on a mission to just murder this basketball room.
Unfortunately, we have to talk about the All-Star game. What a fucking buzzkill that is. But it happened. Now, first quarter, I had a lot of fun because I've mentioned on the show before, Tyrese Haliburton's my favorite player in the NBA. He was going insane in the first quarter. And the teams were trying to play a little bit of defense here and there also, so I was entertained by that. But Tyrese Haliburton was going crazy. Dame has started to do Dame stuff early on. So the first quarter was a lot of fun. Second quarter wasn't. Third quarter, I took a quick nap. Being completely honest,
it wasn't. It didn't get better. So
up until because I remember the 7 minutes and 49 seconds left in the third quarter was when I woke up and continued to try to pay attention to the game. This game, they did exactly what I said they had been doing for years, which is disrespecting the fans who voted for him. Trae Young. If you're going to have the whole fucking world behind you because you got snubbed, when you get in that game, you have to look like you care. Don't dive on the floor. You don't have to be Dennis Rodman going into the stands and hurting yourself. You have to look like you care. I'm making this declaration right now. Next year, we're talking about something else. I'm not watching this shit.
No, yeah, please.
I'm not watching this shit.
It was a bigger waste of time than the dunk contest just because it was fucking like 4 times as long. I think the dunk contest fit just into the fucking opening of the All-Star game before they tipped the ball off to Frankie's fucking point. Like it was. I thought tip off was at 8. I think they tipped off at like 8:45 or something. It felt like, man. The to your point, the best part of the game was generally the first quarter. It was close, and people were kind of doing their own thing. Also, can we just look? Luka deserves to be in every All-Star game. Don't play him. That's my favorite play. Stop playing him. Like he did not give a flying fuck the entire game. He was out there. Him and Jokic looked like they were like two kids. Just like they probably weren't even speaking English. I don't know if they were speaking Serbian or Slovenian because they probably understand each other's because it's not the same language, but I'm guessing it's kind of similar. And typically those European people speak plenty of languages, so they can. They probably weren't speaking English. They were speaking whatever they wanted, just joking the whole time. They look like they didn't give a. I mean, nobody really cared, but Lucas specifically, I'm going to flame him today because he generally it looked like he just showed up to get attendance
because he had to. Like it's mandatory. Yeah. But I will say though, because I'm probably a little crazy. The most entertaining things to me, and we'll get to Dame, I'm sure, because Dame did what he could to make it entertaining. Yeah. Switching 2 half-court pull-ups, that's not easy. Dame every year is going to just be Dame. And you don't expect defense from Dame anyway, so who cares if he's not defending out there? Dame was fun to watch. Tyrese Haliburton was fun to watch, but unfortunately, he's on a minutes restriction right now, coming back from injury, so he couldn't play as much as I'm sure they would have wanted him to. And even still, he had 31 or something like that. He
should have gotten the MVP over Dame.
Yeah, he did.
It wasn't that big of a difference between one and the other, honestly. And he's in
Indy.
They're in Indy,
He gave them the lead in the beginning too. Getting off that hot start,
and he was in 3 events.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken,
he was in a 3-point shootout. If I'm not mistaken,
3-point shootout, the skills challenge, and Ben, and the All-Star game. Just give it to him.
Yeah.
I would have been fine with that.
But what I'm saying, I also, to be honest, because nobody cared and I was ready to turn it off. But I found enjoyment in watching Jokic try to get these dunks off.
Oh my God.
I found some enjoyment in that.
That was the most entertaining
if everybody's gonna be out there bullshitting anyway, whatever. Luka tried to throw himself off the glass.
Luka missed the dunk.
There was the most entertaining thing were the Shaq to the fool moments. LeBron looked like he was 40 for the first time in his career. He fucked up 3 straight plays, airballed a 3, missed a dunk. I was like, I told my dad, I was like, Ron need to sit his old ass down for a minute, man. Let the young kids play for a second. But
Frankie, go ahead, man.
Yeah, they were talking about it in the fourth quarter. They're like, man, LeBron really hasn't played that much. And I think it was Taylor Rooks that said this is his 20th one. Let him get some rest for once. Yeah, it was just bullshit, man. The first quarter was fun. There was some hope. There was fun moments. I won't say it was fun because there was a lot of there was a stretch where with 3 minutes left where I'm like, all right. I think 3 of these guys haven't reached the 3-point line on either end in the last 3 minutes. What are we doing here? What are we doing here? It reminds me of open gyms, honestly, where you're just like, all right, guys, are we taking this serious? Are we trying to get better today or have some fun or what are we doing? This is just bullshit leaking out. This doesn't feel like I as a fan who loves basketball. I just don't find any entertainment here. I don't find guys really compete and trying to defend, and I feel like the missing defense part of the All-Star game is something we overlook because points are cool and all that, but I don't think 200 points in an All-Star game is really cool because they're not trying. Neither team. There's no resistance there. I want to see both teams play hard 4 quarters. Sure, give me some at least goof off first 3 quarters, play hard fourth quarter, try to win. Give me that at the very fucking least. I everything else I'm cool with, but just give me a competitive fourth quarter in a close game. Try to win that game. Those are the best All-Star games, and bring back the Elam ending. I don't know why we got rid of that. We need that. It made more sense. It made more sense to make it competitive. Even though we had a couple years where it started dying down again, it still was way better than most of the All-Star games we've gotten in the last like decade. I'll take that. And, make it tournament style. Do the same thing with the Rising Stars. Like I said, like I want way better for this. The game, this is supposed to be mostly for the young fans, for the younger generation, for the kids, the 15 and under groups that are trying to see their favorite players, and trying to see them have some fun and compete. And they're having the players are having too much fun, and they're not caring about what the fans are thinking.
Right.
Like, I've never seen fans boo players like this at an All-Star game. And I think they frankly deserve more because that was a lot of crap. And I think they could do a lot better.
It's like I've been saying, and it's the reason I didn't vote this year. It's a slap in the face to fans.
Yeah.
Point blank. It's what it is. Like I said before, for Trae Young and everybody to get behind him, for him to get into this game and for him to be out there bullshitting, it's a slap in the face. It's a slap in the fucking face.
Yeah.
Because they didn't have to do that. We're talking about an Atlanta Hawks team that's not good right now. They're not getting anybody any like views or anything because they're not good. But we rally behind him and we get nothing. You know what I mean? Like, people take their time out of their day to vote for these players, and we get nothing every single year. And it's just like, the fans don't deserve that. So just to recap the whole thing, just very quickly. Rising Stars game, incredible. Without question, incredible. Skills challenge, you confuse the fans because there's way too much going on and we don't understand the rules. We don't understand this format. Just 3 rounds of 3 completely different things. It doesn't make sense. We don't want to watch people shoot half-court shots until they make one. That is not fun. It's not fun. 3-point contest, incredible. Steph versus Sabrina, incredible. And then you ruin the dunk contest by trying to rig it. Disrespecting the fans once again, because we can see these dunks. And we know what these scores are supposed to look like, at least somewhat. So you disrespect the fans with that again. And then the All-Star game comes, and the first quarter is really good because Tyrese Haliburton got hot, and it's Indiana. If he was missing those shots, it would be the same result the last 3 quarters were. The players themselves disrespected the fans once again. And it's just like, why are we investing in this? You understand, and I don't ever pocket watch. I don't care what people are making. But when you realize, and I didn't vote, I feel so bad that I'm not voting. But when you realize these people taking their time out to vote, it's in these players' incentives. Like, if they make an all-star team, they get this amount of money. Like, it's not even a slap in them. You're spitting in fans' faces by going out there bullshitting like this every year. And so I took the stance to feel better about myself by not voting this year. This was the last All-Star weekend I'm watching. I'm good. I am good.
And just talk about spitting in the fans' faces. While you were talking, Kenny, I didn't mean to. I was just curious to see how much was the cheapest ticket.
Oh my God.
The NBA priced for the All-Star weekend. It was $1,300 was the cheapest ticket package. People are spending over $1,000.
Not including parking, food.
Not including parking, food, hotel stay, yada yada, just to get into this arena.
Not to cut you off, but understand how inflated those hotels are with the prices.
Oh, for sure. I'm not even going to talk about the hotel prices. I'm not going to talk about any of that. Just in $1,300 to get into the game, and you get that product. NBA like players, man, like, look yourself in the mirror. Like, honestly, like, you're making enough money to have a comfortable living. It's just one game. Like, that's all the fans are asking for. They're not even asking for 100%. They're asking for maybe 100% for a quarter or a half. That's literally all they're asking for, which is only 25% of the fucking game. So like, just people are literally probably selling trying to do whatever they can, putting their whole savings into this, because $1,300 is not cheap, guys. Like point blank.
Yeah, these are people. A lot of people who live in Indiana, and the job market isn't like booming out there.
Exactly. And recently it's been mostly small market teams anyways, or small market cities in comparison to the bigger ones. Like, like the economy isn't as good, and people are spending inflation $1,300 on these tickets. Like
Crazy.
Honestly, it made me sick to my stomach when I saw those numbers. That is not what I expected. And last year it was $2,000. So they brought it down some, but like come on, guys, like seriously.
And this isn't like the NFL where like the Pro Bowl it's risky because you can get seriously injured and something like that. And obviously there's an injury risk at the All-Star game, of course, just playing, but like it's you're never gonna play to that level where there is a serious injury. If anything, it's a freak injury kind of deal that could have happened any game. Just think about that. Those families that a lot of these players have come from those backgrounds of struggling families that I can only make it. I myself, I was only able to make it like once or twice a year to a game, if that. And to the All-Star game, like I've never been to anything like that. Like that's crazy. You need to consider these kinds of families, these kinds of fans that are watching in person, but at home too. Like I want to see Luka and Jokic play together. I want to see them like play hard and move the ball well, and like Tyrese, one of my favorite players to watch. And I want to see him play with Giannis and throw lobs to Giannis. I want to see stuff like that, but I want to see defense. I want to see guys carrying. I want to see guys trying. Like there's way too many plays where like guys weren't getting back on defense. Swinging, getting blown by, like letting it happen, like not caring about it. And you get to the point where you don't. If I care more than you, we have a problem.
Right.
And that's, I think that overall is the biggest problem with the All-Star weekend right now.
It's just like, it's like kind of what Lou said, but even in a more simple way, all we're asking for is for the best basketball players in the world to play basketball. That shit we just watched ain't basketball. Like like you're in the NBA. We know you can dunk. We know you can shoot threes. And I'll give credit to Dame, because Dame knows his skill set. He's not a defender. He's going to go out there, he's going to shoot from deep, and he's going to make it as fun as he can. And he did that. Tyrese Haliburton was in front of his home crowd. He's known as a passer, but you're not passing through a defense, so it doesn't mean anything. I think he understood that. So he was bombing away from three. And it was a lot of fun because it was in front of his fans, and that's what fans want to see.
Somebody told Tyrese. Somebody told Tyrese before the game, "Don't pass," and he's like, "That's what I do. What do you mean? I lead the league in assists."
But that's just, everybody else just disrespected us. Every single person, and it makes the whole event not make sense, because if there's not going to be any defense, why is a Bam Adebayo out there? Why do you have Rudy Gobert's out there? Like, and those guys, and I'll pick up on, like, Bam in the beginning was trying to do what he does. He was out there. He was going after rebounds. He'd step out and defend. But if you have four guys on the court with you, and it's just go ahead, go get your dunk, it makes your defense pointless. And as we saw, Bam Adebayo started the game and didn't play a whole lot, because what's the point of having a defender out there? Is you just out there bullshitting? Well, everybody else is out there bullshitting on offense. And it's just like the point I was making before. We know NBA players can dunk. We know NBA players can shoot. This game was designed for the best NBA players in the world to compete with each other and give us that kind of show. For us to be able to see the best of the best in the best pickup game in the world. You could go to Drew League and see some better shit than this. The games at Miami Pro, and Frankie knows this because he's going to a bunch. The games at Miami Pro League where NBA players don't even show up are better than any All-Star game aside from the 2021 with the Eagles score in recent years. So it's just like, man, like I said, next year, I have a whole year to figure out what we're going to talk about after this weekend, but it ain't going to be this shit. I'm not watching this. This is my last All-Star weekend. Well, I'll catch a 3-point shootout in the Rising Stars if they keep the same format, but the game itself and the dunk contest, that shit is dead to me. Thanks for tuning in to another episode of Playoff File. I'm Kenny. My social media, Kenny Spence NBA. But follow Playoff File on everything. Follow us on Instagram and TikTok especially. Subscribe to the YouTube. That's where we've been growing the most. I'm really excited about that because, hey, I do the visual like I understand like people listen to it, and that's what you have time to listen to. The visual aspect, I came up with some real cool shit. Those transitions you hear on the audio, 1,000 times better when you see what that music is too. But just make sure you subscribe wherever you are. Lou, real quick, what's your social media?
It's at Saucy Takes, no spaces, takes with the Z at the end, and mostly just Twitter. Follow me on Twitter.
Frankie, where could people find you at?
Twitter, Frankie G _ that's Frankie with a Y.
If you like the music throughout, that's my brother. His Instagram and TikTok are BlackGlowMusic. Follow him, download his BDPs, and we'll see y'all next time.